Welcome to Up Close, Meet the Poet Behind the Verse. I am your host, River Erkey. Here to help me pull this off is Julie
Yep.
Martin. Here at Up Close, we like to showcase one poet a season with an interview, giveaway, and reading. It is our goal to introduce the person behind the poems. Before we begin, I have to remind our audience to remain muted during the duration of the show. And we will have a giveaway today, details later. We give a shout out to our sponsors, Cracked Walnut, the League of Minnesota Poets, and remind us all that we're being recorded for a later movie on YouTube. With that, I'd like you to sit back and introduce you to our Autumn Up Close poet, Dralandra Larkins. Dralandra is an award-winning spoken word poet, arts educator, and an all-around awesome girl. Through her performance, she weaves together words, rhythm, and intimacy to create a safe place for healing and self-discovery. Her work gives you the feelings and spirituality, common community. That I'd like to welcome Dralandra with us today. Hi.
Hey, River.
Um, I want to start out right smack out with a poem, and one that you have. Gosh, how long have you been? Has this been in your life? Like you've been changing it, re-editing it throughout. I mean, you'll explain better, but you started it back in middle school.
Yeah, so the poem is called I'm Black, and I created this poem in middle school in sixth grade. And the reason why I always have to rewrite it and revise it is because there's always something happening within my community and culture. So it never sounds the same whenever I perform it the first time. So again, that's why I'm always revising it and re-editing the poem. So it's called I'm Black, and that's the one that I made in sixth grade.
Cool. Can we hear it? Your version
Yes,
today.
right, yeah. I'm black, blacker than you can understand. I come from goddesses who wore their essence in the palms of their hands, always uplifting sisters like no other can. I wear the virtue, breathe life into my brothers like no other man, 'cause I am love and light. Come look into my sight and see my reflection. My brown-skinned mother gave birth to me so I could give birth to a new generation of African queens who inspire to create meaningful inspiration. And I never embrace hatred. I got sister blood and soul all over my shoelaces. And if you tie those together, it reveal my true genes and my true nature. Right, right. Black like West African women with thick hips and full lips, like single mothers with tight fists, like fried eggs and cornbread, jollof rice, jerk chicken, fish chips, and grits, because this is soul food, child. You know, soul food. Black like coffee with no cream. Black like silent screams, Dr. King's I have a dream, let freedom ring. I'm just black. Black enough to fight for civil rights. Black enough to reflect the light. Black enough to broadcast my pride like Sojourner Truth. Ain't thou a woman? Black enough so that when these words touch, they leave fingerprints on your very soul. So how black? Black enough so that when these words touch, they leave fingerprints on your very soul. Black from within, ancestors who unlock the mystery that lies between Genesis and Revelations. Black enough to stick up like a sore thumb and represent a new nation. Black enough to spot and think before I speak. Black enough to absorb more than just heat. See, this is knowledge and I am wisdom. Understand me, see. I'm a proud African American, richness in my melanin, mocha skin, Kingsman. You know it's legit because fight the powers in the blood of my heritage with a little bit of civil rights, Assata Shakur, single black mothers in the struggle, hip hop, Tupac, Jay-Z, It's a Hard Knock, Motown, James Brown, James Baldwin, Huey, Colin Kaepernick, Trayvon Martin, Bell Hooks, Ruby Bridges, Rena Moran, Sandra Bland, and Malcolm X, who be the keeper to my brother, man. See, when I pass on another individual, I was so lovingly, so proudly, unapologetically say, baby, you're black, blacker than you'll ever understand.
Whew. Gosh, just when you read that, do you just afterwards, do you just kind of just suck it in? It feels like it's just full, that poem has got power behind it.
Yeah, thank you, River.
Oh, it does. It totally does. It's kind of like a, yeah. I well, there's a little story behind your name and how you got your name. Can we hear it?
Yeah, so my name is Dralandra. There's a tradition in my family where everyone names their kids with either a D or a P name. And so me and my brothers, we got the D side. So my brothers is Darius and Devin. And so I'm Dralandra. And so my mom, she's Patricia. So there's a D and P kind of tradition going on in my family.
Oh, so she was the P generation.
What was that?
She was the P's, and
Yep,
then
yep. So she
you were
was
the
the
D's.
Yep, yep. So we were the
Oh,
D
okay, that's
generation. Yep.
neat.
And then yeah, and so my father, his favorite niece is her name is Sherlandra. And he wanted me he wanted to name me Sherlandra, but my mom told him like, oh, you have to name it with a D. And so he said, okay, yeah, the Dralandra. And so that's how that came about.
You're the only one you've ever met.
What was that?
You've never met anybody else with the same name.
No, no. I think I'm the only person in the world with my name. I think. I'm
That's
betting on
kind of
it.
special, though. I can say that I myself, for my full name, I'm the only one in the world, and it's kind of special because
Nice.
a lot of people can look up their name and there's a crap. Some of them, like my friend Dan Johnson.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's a common one.
Yeah, it's probably who knows how many. So it's kind of cool. So you were born in Mississippi, where your father's family's from, and your mom and your brothers and you moved. Well, you did stop off in Chicago, where she's from, but you guys all you moved up here.
Yeah.
What
Mhm.
brought you up to Minneapolis?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, so I was born in Mississippi, and so we bounced back and forth between Mississippi, Indianola, and Chicago. And in
Okay.
Chicago, where my mother is from, it was a lot of drug violence and drug use and gun violence. And so my mom wanted to escape that, to provide a better future for me and my brothers. And so that's why we moved up here in Minnesota. And so I always
Okay.
tell people I'm from the South Side, and so we settled in the South, I would say Phillips community. So like I don't know if you're familiar with like Chicago Avenue over there. So that's like the Phillips community. So that's where I grew up when we came here to Minneapolis.
Okay. I know nothing about the cities,
Oh right.
anywhere
Yeah,
in
you're
the
from
cities.
Wisconsin. I forgot.
Well, I'm from Minnesota,
Oh,
but I've been living here for a couple of years. But yeah, but I'm from Duluth, and
oh,
yeah,
okay.
I've never really done much with the cities. I depend upon other people to take me around.
How come you never settled in Minnesota? You just don't care for it?
Oh no, I was raised in Minnesota. I was raised up in Duluth, and then
Mhm.
I raised my daughter in Stillwater.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I moved here after my daughter graduated,
Okay.
and I ran around here in my 20s with, but so that's why I was familiar with here. I'm more of a country girl is what I am. And to me it seems you seem more like a city girl. So do you ever have any country
Oh yeah,
tendencies?
no, yeah, I'm a city girl through and through. Yeah, I
Have
can't
you
do the
been
country.
camping?
What was that?
Have you been camping before?
Yeah, I actually went camping at the St. Croix when I was younger, St. Croix camp, and it was fun. I
Oh,
remember, yeah, I had a good time.
see, I live in the St. Croix Valley.
Oh, nice. Okay,
Yeah.
nice. Yep.
So, yeah, I was actually, I've tried to understand the perspective of when somebody, well, we'll talk later about it. When somebody isn't familiar with the woods and when they want to feel access, it's a
Yeah.
perspective I've tried to figure out
And that's what I
because
mean. That's why I say I'm not a country girl because the woods, it just freaks me out. The woods, I can't.
it's so interesting. See, that's where I don't understand. I'm the opposite.
Right? Because you're a country
I feel
girl.
comfortable in the woods with the city, kind of like a city.
Because you're a
I
country,
get
right?
nervous because of the
See, you're one
people.
with nature. You love nature and all that. Yeah, but I love nature too, but like in the city kind of way. Like take me to a park.
Yeah, totally. You get your let your toes get wiggle into the grass, but
Right.
you don't want to feel a nibble.
Right.
Um, so when you did when and I heard it now too when you spoke about South Side and you kind of explained to me where it was at least but when you told me earlier when you said it so proudly, I'm from the South Side. I want can you explain to us what it means to you to be from the South Side?
Yeah.
Like
So
what I
as I
hear?
mentioned, like yeah, like as I mentioned when I came up here, me and my well, firstly, me and my mother, we were homeless. And so when we got here, we met these extraordinary like caseworkers and social workers who helped us get housed within like 3 months when we got here. And so and just throughout my life, people over, the South Side, on the South Side, have always been so generous and compassionate towards me and my family. And so, to me, being South Side means that being loving and being kind to your neighbors. And so that's why I say I'm South Side. And plus, oh, here in South Minneapolis, we throw so many like big art events, and it's all about community and unity. And so that's what South Side means to me. It's about community pride and really just loving who you are and where you come from and being kind to your neighbors.
See, that's so beautiful and so needed. I mean, the community is something that's just disappearing all around us, you know?
Yep.
It's yeah. Well, that's beautiful. Now I understand that. I understand totally. Um, so when you were growing up, you loved to write in journals. At some point, your writing it started turning into songs, and um, and then you went a step further with your brother and cousins, and you guys took it a little one step further than just writing it down. What did you guys do?
Yeah, so we joined this community program called PCTV, which stands for Phillips Community Television. So Phillips Community is again on the south side of Minneapolis. And in that program, kids like me, youth were able to edit, produce videos, talk to, and do interviews and with artists around the community. And again, edit those videos. And so during that time, I actually met a poet named Desdemona Rock, and she was one, and I interviewed her, and she was one of the first poets who I heard singing in her poems. So she would sing and then say the poem. And so I was just so inspired by that when I first met her at PCTV, and doing that interview. And so she really inspired like my work and how I write my poems.
And she's somebody we have in common. Do
Yeah.
you
Yep.
know she's going to be playing Saturday night?
No, I didn't.
I'm not really sure exactly where right now because my friend just told me that we're going. And then
Oh, no.
remember, yeah, afterwards we'll talk about it. Um, but yeah, that's so now I'm gonna turn to your mom. She's your best friend and relate to that. I think when you're raised with somebody and it's just the two of you, you just
Hmm.
get closer. Like, it was me and my daughter and it was me and my mom and you know what I mean? I would
Yeah.
totally relate with you. That was but she's your best. What is your favorite thing about her? You could pick one thing.
Um, I would say my mother is very loving. It's hard because I want to say she's compassionate and forgiving and patient. But I would just I guess to sum it all up, she's just a very loving woman. And I don't think there's any woman on earth that could exude as much beauty and love that she does. Yeah, I love Mama Bear for that reason.
And
And
nobody
she
else.
loves unconditionally too. Like some people, they love with conditions. You have to be a certain way, or you have to act a certain way, or have a certain thing. My mom, she doesn't care if you're a rabbit on the street, she's gonna go and feed you carrots. You know what I mean? So like,
Mhm.
she's an unconditional lover, and so
She sounds like a great person.
yeah.
Um, she's been through it too. Well, you both have.
Yeah. Yep, and that's the other piece of it because she has been through domestic violence. And to this day, she still speaks with my father who was abusive. She still speaks to him on the phone, and provides him with love and advice. And so that's what I mean when I say she's so loving, because she's also, I think, with love comes with forgiveness. And I think that you can't really be a loving person if you can't forgive. And so she exemplifies that so well to me. And so I can only wish to be like a woman of her stature someday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a hard one for a lot of people to get is forgiving.
Right.
Like you don't want to forget because you don't want them to keep doing it to you.
Exactly. You want to keep those
But
boundaries up.
you got to
Right.
forgive because the only person that's going to hurt is yourself.
Right. To move on with life.
Yeah, yeah, and it can just eat at some people. It's like they're
Hmm.
carrying around this like what are they some kind of what are they I think they say monkey even though I don't want to say monkey.
Right.
Um
And then when we, not only that, but then when we carry it around, it like creates, diseases and sickness because it has
mhm.
to manifest in a physical form. And so got to get
Or
that stuff
and
out.
you're just a very angry person.
Hmm.
It's good, yeah. And get a bunch of wrinkles from it too.
Right.
Um so yeah. So every Wednesday, you take a class. You're in a class right now, an aerial silk class. What is that?
So aerials, I like to just or describe it as circus delay. So like um it's physical body movement, and it's kind of where, like, I don't know if you've seen in the circus where people are jumping through hoops and like they're doing acrobatics on like ropes and things of that sort,
Mm-hmm.
and doing splits in the
Poles.
air. And yep, so that's what aerial silk is. I don't know how else to describe it. But I joined this class like 2 months ago, and so it ends actually in December. I had my first performance in late December, and I joined
Okay.
this class because I really wanted to get into movement. So because I'm a poet and a writer, I'm always, sitting down and kind of scrunched up, and I never have an opportunity to move my body. And I'm
Mhm.
not a workout fanatic, so I said I needed to find a fun activity that's going to challenge me, but also, be engaging and fun for me. And so I chose aerial silk, and it's been cool, challenging for sure. It's challenging.
Oh, I bet it is. And building muscles you've never even knew you had.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Oh, um, before that, you did another dance class for movement. What was that?
That was belly dancing.
Okay.
Um, Yep. And so I plan on taking another class beginning next year in January. But I tell you, with belly dancing, that's more of a, I guess, I kind of want to become like an expert in belly dancing. I've been taking classes for belly dancing now for 2 years, consecutive.
Oh, wow.
So with belly dancing, I kind of want to be an expert. And I think I'm at an kind of intermediate level, but
Okay.
we're progressing. Yeah.
Well, if you ever want to give me tippers, that's um yeah. That's one thing. I used to be more of a dancer than you know of me now.
Yeah, you told me that. Yeah.
Um, so you didn't do any writing or much other than focus on what your your career goal was through high school and college, because you were on a mission to get through and to get out. Is that how you'd explain it?
Yep. So up in college, I was just on a mission to get my bachelor's degree. So I have my bachelor's in social work. And so during
Mhm.
that time, I didn't engage in writing at all. So I wasn't, I just, poetry didn't exist at that time. So I graduated in 2019. So previously, for those 4 years, poetry was no longer in my life. And I say back in 2020, once COVID, well, it didn't ended, but once, we came off the quarantine and things started to open back up, I realized, poetry was my life. That's it was my to the community and performing during COVID when, the community organizations started opening back up. So yeah, so for
That's when
those
you
4 years,
started.
I didn't focus on writing. What was that?
Well, and then you have a minor in theology, right?
Yes.
Okay. Um, because you've been only really writing and performing for the last year, right?
Yes. Hmm.
Um, lost my spot. Let's go back to Desdemona. Oh no, I can't ever say her name very well. Um, she is a spoken word poet that's a hip hop icon. How would you? I mean, she's who inspires you, right?
Yes.
Because she is very. I mean, there's like I'll never forget when I saw her. Um, she's made an imprint on me for life. And so I can see how that would be, to aspire to be that, you know.
Mhm.
Do you ever think of trying to regularly? Doesn't she do a Thursday night? Some
Yeah.
Thursday
So
night.
yep, she has there's a True Art Speak as a community organization that was founded by Tish Jones. And then Desdemona, she is I'm not sure exactly what her official role is, but she is the coordinator of the Thursday night open mic series, which is
Okay.
called Reverb Open Mic. And so I was a feature there in October. And so during that feature, I was able to, chop it up with Desdemona, hear her perform again. And she actually performed one of my favorite poems for me. And so that was really nice. And so I think she's the maybe director of True Art Speaks. I'm not sure, but I do know that
Okay.
she coordinates the open mics.
Just gets um gosh. I mean, do you ever see yourself like, because you talk about and you do sing a little bit in some of your poems. Ever think about collaborating with her?
Yeah, she's actually one of my poets on my list who I do want to collaborate with on, in the future. I don't have a project yet in mind for her, but when I do, she's going to be the first on my list. And so I hope in next
Cool.
year. Next year, I hope to do more collaborations with local poets, and she's on my list.
Well, if last year or next year is anything like the last year, I mean, we could go down the road. Like how many things? Like I'm blown away by, and that you actually get paid. Like you got your
Right,
first year and you get paid. I mean,
right.
I
And I was,
took me
and I was, and
a
that's the thing. I
long
was like, if
time.
anyone would have told me years ago that you could get paid to perform, I would have been did this. Like what?
I think it's the spoken word that does it, you know?
Um,
I
you think
think
so? I
more.
don't think so. I think
I
people
don't
just
know
want to hear
anybody that
poets.
gets paid like you though.
I think that it's people don't know. That's the thing. Artists don't talk about it. And it's not, and I didn't know until someone literally put me aside and they told me, you have to tell people you want to get paid or else they won't offer it. And unfortunately, in the art industry, it's like that. Like people are
Oh,
very
it
much
is.
close knit. Yes. And it's very much like referral based. It's kind
Yeah.
of word of mouth. And so people don't tell you, oh, you can get paid for this. unless you know, you know what I mean? Unless you advocate for yourself. So,
That's the way it is in so many parts of life.
and like River, and here's the thing, if you teach a workshop, you get paid for that. Like I taught some workshops and you're supposed to get paid for that. It doesn't matter.
Well, unless you're doing something, you're working through a nonprofit like Cracked Walnut,
Yeah, yeah.
you know?
But even then you get paid. Like I've done so many art fairs this summer, like with Greenway Coalition, which is a nonprofit, with Samila Center, which is a nonprofit, and you get paid for
Hmm.
it.
Well, I'll have to figure out yes, it's, you found a little in that the rest of us didn't know about. Because I got paid for being a poet of plays.
Oh, nice.
I got a nice big fat check for that, but that's yeah,
Yes.
that was pretty cool. That was like yeah, but usually we all say that there's not much money in poetry.
Right.
I joke with my daughter that after I die, she'll probably that's when it'll call come in. She'll get
Right,
loaded,
yeah.
and she can finally be happy I was. So well, I do have some news about the water anthology.
Oh,
I was working today on working on the cover with the guy and it's coming. It's gonna be it's gonna be something else actually. So with that, we're on to our next. You have a poem coming out in the Mississippi Valley Poets Water Songs anthology. It'll be coming out here someday. And I just love the name of this poem. It's um if I didn't lose it. Oh, Plastic Kills the Soul of the Ocean. How did you come up with that title?
so I was just, brainstorming because I knew the theme was on water, and I was brainstorming because I knew for a fact that I wanted the poem to be about something environmental, and like environmental issue. And so I was like, what's the most like the pressing thing that's affecting our water quality? And it's plastic. And so, you know, I was like, okay, and plus I'm a spoken word poet, put a little soul in there. And
Yeah,
then,
totally.
yeah, plastic kills the soul of the ocean. Yeah.
Well, could we hear it?
Yes. And I
Cool.
actually have it here with me in hard copy that I think we're gonna show later, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Plastic kills the soul of the ocean. Body and water are not unlike. Salt water stream is vital to the veins, circulates the blood and helps the body maintain function. The ocean is Earth life support. She regulates our climate and cradles existence. Her children of rivers provide nourishment to our soul. The land of lakes give us daily bread. So why do we hurt her? Beaches are local wastelands, we desert her. Millions of plastic pieces are dumped into our ocean every day. We drink Coca-Cola from our straws. Silver whales digest it, mistaking the plastic for prey. We run wild on hot sand, polluting the land of where the sea critters lay, uninhabitable. Human cruelty kills the ecosystem. We swim with sea creatures, joyful dolphins, bluefins, olive turtles, flatback fishes. Many die from plastic pollution every year. Cold-blooded sea mariners don't harm us. Irresponsibility, miseducation, and carelessness of humans we should fear.
Hmm. So yeah, so show everybody. This is Dralandra's giveaway today.
Oh, I don't know if you can be
Oops,
able to see that. It might
kind
be a
of
little.
it's a little fuzzy. Whoop. Well,
Oh yeah, I don't
just
think you guys can
we'll
see it.
just
It's a
have to
little
imagine. Just imagine
right.
everybody.
But it's a nice blue color though. If you can
Yeah,
see
it
it.
is. Like the ocean.
Yeah.
Um, so you're giving two away today, so everybody out there will play the number game. Um, one that comes closest to the number that we've chose without going over will be the winner. and we'll announce the two people at the end. So good luck. And it's kind of weird. I'm gonna just whisper that. Um, I have a couple questions. I want to go back to that poem because there was something I noticed that something that I do that I don't hear very many people do in their poems, and that is make water a female and to make it alive. Is there a reason that you do that?
Yeah, so I believe nature is feminine. So in life, I women are the only species or human that can give birth to life. And so there you can find life in nature. And so that's why I always refer to nature as a feminine or woman kind of energy because there's life in nature, and a woman is the only person that can give birth to that.
That's I'll share a little something to you. As natives, water, women are the keepers. We're the carriers.
Yes.
Yeah, so there is a lot behind what you feel. It's I hear you and I hear your heart sing loud and strong love and recognition for the priorities of your soul. Too, I can think of right now is faith in the environment are really important to you. Is there anything you could add to that?
Um, in my poetry.
Yeah, your
Yeah.
poetry and life.
Yeah,
It's
and
kind of come to
so in my poems, there's always an aspect of spirituality in all my poems. So I always take some type of biblical reference and put it in my poem, whether it's I'm saying God or just the word God, or I'm saying Genesis and Revelations, like I did in I'm Black. So I was always and that's because I'm a God-fearing woman. So I'm always and my minor's in theology. So I do have like a bit of an obsession with learning about the mystic world of sorts. So there's
hmm
always a spiritual components in my poetry.
and then turn the environment too
Yeah, yeah.
is is a I have to ask, what is a God loving woman or God fearing? Well, what did you say?
A God-fearing woman.
God fearing woman. What does that mean?
Yeah, so I was raised on Christian fundamentals, and so and like Christianity is my foundation of life. So that's the way I live my life is through Christian values. And
Okay.
so one of the things in Christianity is that you have to fear God. So meaning that you fear him enough where you don't disobey, right? Like you act as a good person. So you fear him, just like your parents, like you fear your parents enough where you don't want to piss them off. So you kind of like, walk around eggshells, you know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
God fearing, that's what God fearing mean, where it's I
Gotcha.
yeah, so that means I'm God fearing. I walk in my truth, I walk with God, and I live by his rules, or so or such, if you will.
That's a very good explanation. Thank you. I've always kind of wondered that. With that, but, so you were an editor for the Cracked Walnut um, new anthology that just came out. I was. I like to hear. I don't know. I'd like you to read the poem that you have in it. But first, I was just going to ask, what was that experience like for you to
Yeah, it
work?
was a great experience. So Bill Anderson was the senior editor for Crack Walnut, and he invited me onto the team. So I worked with two others. It was Micah Roulette and Yara Omer. And it's a small team, but it was such a wonderful experience. I learned so much about publishing and the editing world. I remember in particular, there was one moment that we had where, so I'm coming in, I'm new, so I'm like, yeah, let's take all the poems, freedom of speech. I love them all. Everyone deserves to have their poem heard. And so, and there was a poem that came in that was that didn't match the theme. So our theme was about hope and nature and, the environment. And one of the poems that came in was about culture and the Holocaust. And initially, some of us were like, yeah, let's take the poem. But then Bill, our senior editor, and Micah, they had to take a step back and and really let me know, like, hey, let's talk about this and let's discuss why this poem in particular shouldn't get added to the anthology. And the reason why I just say that that was a pivotal moment for me is because, again, I'm coming in thinking everyone deserves, to be heard. But it's like, you have to think about things like themes, when you're putting together an anthology. And that's such an important piece I just previously didn't think about before having this experience. So, it sounds small, but it was a huge learning lesson for me.
Oh, all those little things. They build up and build with the other rest of it that is finally the needs you understand, the whole process. So those little things, how you gotta, you know what they're like, the very fundamental basics of like grammar and English in elementary school. And when you missed out on some of that
Right?
stuff, and you missed out, it just made everything else down the road so much harder. So yeah,
Right.
those little things are very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think some people forget about them because they seem so small, but they have their place. Maybe that's like a bee in our nature, in the whole scheme of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so yeah, that's let's see. So let's go over a little bit about how you got into the whole Cracked Walnut League of Minnesota Poets. And you found Donna's writing Saturday morning writing workshop. You found that like last March or April.
Yes.
Started attending it, and then she suggested that you enter that spoken word contest in the summer. Was that
Yep. So, yep, I was started going to Donna's workshop sometime in February of last year. And then after her,
okay?
like, reviewing my work, she invited me to the Blackberry Peach competition that was held in August or maybe July or August. And so I came second place in that competition, and the winner at that time was Kevin Yang. And so, because I came in second place, Amanda, who's the president of the League of Minnesota Poets, came up to me and offered me a membership to the league. And so that's how I
Cool.
got involved with the League of Minnesota Poets, and then eventually found out about the other chapters like Crack Walnut.
The Mississippi Valley Poets and stuff.
Yep.
Yep. We're all, we're, me and you are involved in all the same things. Um, but then what was I gonna say? But there was something before. There was something else that first, because you were right. You entered something sparked you to do to write, and then to even then go and look for that writing class. So what was that?
Yeah, so during COVID, I was just, we were quarantined, and so I was journaling a lot in my journal. And then
Okay.
one day I was just like, I should just maybe go to an open mic and just say my poems from my journal. And so I did that. And so I went to Black Table Arts, which is a community organization in South Minneapolis, for artists of color. And
Okay.
so they were hosting a competition. And so initially I went there thinking it was just an open mic, but I signed up, for the competition. Unfortunately, I didn't place in that competition, but it was still a great experience. And I felt so inspired and empowered after that competition that I started, seeking other opportunities for, open mics. And that's when I found Donna's Crack Walnut poetry critique group.
I gotta ask, did you know when you signed up for that? Did you know it was a contest, or did you think you were just signing up for the open mic?
Right, no, I thought I was just signing up for the open mic. And I think that's why I didn't place. That's why I think I didn't place in the competition because I was just like, oh, this is casual. And
Yeah,
so,
totally, totally.
right, yeah. And
That's
so,
funny. That's
yeah,
funny. That's a story for down the
right.
road. Yeah. That's well, and now you have this great idea. It's this gum. I don't remember what you call it, but it's a gumball machine, and you have poems in it. It comes to put money in, and you give them. I think you give them a little treat too with it.
Yeah, so it's called the Pocket Poetry Dispenser that's held at Next
Okay.
Chapter Booksellers in St. Paul, Minnesota. And so it contains 40 poets. And so each capsule has candy and a poem by a local poet. And the reason why I started the idea is because I'm an aspiring author. And so I eventually want to be like you, River, have my own chapbook. And so one of the
Mhm.
ways I figured to market myself was to create a pocket poetry dispenser. And that idea actually came out of and it's something I saw on Facebook. I'm part of a Facebook group, a poetry group on Facebook. And one of the
Mhm.
members just posted like, oh, today I had a great day. Look at all my quarters. And she had a bunch of pictures of her quarters and like her gumball machine. But her gumball machine had like earrings and necklaces, prizes for kids. And so that's when it emerged. And I was like, oh, maybe I can do this with poetry. And so we made it happen.
And you just put them in one of those little capsules.
Yep. So it has some candy and then a poem and yep, one of those little capsules. So then you put 50 cents in the machine and then one of those
Mhm.
capsules comes out.
And somebody contacted you. Actually got your poem. They did something.
Yep, yeah, yeah, she did. And on there, if you actually go to the store, there is a note that says, post on Facebook, and tag the author or tag the poet. And so one of the girls, she got my poem and she tagged me when she did it. So that was real cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it comes around.
Right. Yep.
That's always but you have two upcoming opportunities that are pretty cool. Can you share them with us, perhaps?
Yeah. So one of them, I'm a contractor now with the Friends of St. Paul Library. And so I'm a programming assistant. And so I help coordinate author events. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with like Club Book, Fireside Reading Series, and Moving Words. But those reading series are for authors across the state and out of state, where we invite them to a library and the audience or people from the community, the public, can come and have their book signed, ask the author questions, and last night,
Cool.
I actually just hosted one on Club Book on Facebook Live. So y'all can actually check it out. If you just type on Facebook Club Book, you can actually see last night's show with Michael, what is his name? Michael Keeber. Is that his name? He's a super popular poet. I don't want to, Michael Keeber Webbs
Oh gosh.
and Tracy Smith. But
Okay.
anyway, and so yeah, and so last night it was their Tracy Smith show. And so that's on
Cool.
Facebook Live. You want to check it out.
Cool. That's and then there's one other thing you're doing.
And then I got an opportunity to be the Minnesota Book Award judge for poetry for next year. So I'm currently reading poetry books for Minnesota authors. So that's really exciting.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a paid position. Or are they both paid?
Yes. Yep.
That's good. Cool. Well, we skipped through not reading very many poems. Let's see. Oh, I guess we got all three. Um, do you have? Let's see how much time. We don't have too much time, but let's. Do you have any? Do you have another poem for us to hear?
Yeah, I'll read the one from the Crack Walnut anthology, We Wild
Oh
and
yeah,
Woke.
that's the one I was thinking that we forgot. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I'll read that one. And this one is a response to the Crown Act. So the Crown Act is a law that prohibits hair discrimination in the workplace. So like if you have Afro textured hair or curly hair or wavy hair, it prohibits that hair discrimination. And so, and it's called Coils, My Crown is My Garden. Remember when India RE sung, don't need ya silicone, I prefer my own wood, God gave me it just fine. My kinks and coils don't need to be defined, sleeked nor greased. My afro grows and flows up and outwardly, stretching the laws of science, defying gravity. I am magical. Yeah, and the world lives inside me. My hair reflects God's nature, like the texture of thick bark on trees. Just hydrate my strands with rain, castor oil, cocoa butter, and baby, I smell like a sweet honeybee. My 4C is lovely because it's phenomenally me, made beautiful. I was kissed by the king who nourished my roots in holy water down to the cuticle, the follicle. My crown is my garden. And each seed that I plant, the coil blossoms strong and abundantly beyond the white soil of embedded conditioning, taught to think that nappy is dreadful, to feel ashamed of 4C hair that can't be contained with their bobby pin. And so our sister locks don't bend to Western beauty conformity. As I rebel like Angela and march for peace, my curls and coils be dancing in the wind so boldly and free. Our magnificent hair was created to wander and to stare in orbit, stardust, and black infinity for all to see that the standard is kinky, it's coily, don't need ya silicone. I prefer my own. What God gave me is just fine. So I sing the song like India RE, because I am and will be naturally me.
Bravo. That's one thing you are very good at ending the poems. You end it with a boom. You know what I mean?
Nice.
You
Yeah.
know, I think that's so last question I have is more like the process for you with poetry. Is it something that you sit down to do, or does it just kind of come to you?
It comes to me. So, I tried to do, and that's the thing I'm having so much trouble with this chat book. So I've been, I tried to do the sit down thing and to think and write, but I can't do it. What I'm learning is I can't do it that way. I just kind of have to let spirit come to me. And that's why I say in my bio, when I say she weaves together words and intimacy and spirit. And that's what I mean by that, where I just kind of let the word and the spirit come to me, and then I let the words flow. So I don't ever
Okay.
try to force the words or my art. So I just let spirit guide me.
Do you I know myself, I kind of nitpick words and I do the source thing a lot, you know. 'Cause I'll look till a word fits, you know, where I what I fits the meaning but sounds right to me. You know, do you do that?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Especially being a spoken word poet,
Yeah,
it has to feel and sound right when it's, when you're speaking it. So yeah, I
totally.
do. Hmm.
Do you use kind of there's that rhyme zone I think online.
Oh, what was that?
There's this um site called Rhyme Zone online. Have you ever used that?
No, but I think maybe I should look it up.
It's really nice. You can actually put in a word and you can say you want to know the rhyme, you want to know the synonym, words that are like it. I mean, it's Rhyme Zone. I love it.
Thank you, River. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm marking it.
yeah, because
I'm
it gives
bookmarking
you
that.
just a great like variety of just words to work with, you know.
Oh,
They're
perfect. Thank
either
you.
like really close, like in the rhyme, or kind of further away. Yeah, yeah, I think it's the best. So Rhyme Zone. So, but
Oh, yeah, I see. Yes, I love it. Okay. Yep, I looked it up while you
oh,
were
did you
talking
look
about
it
it.
up?
Yeah, it's nice.
That's so I'm looking at right now. I can't show everybody else on here, but just some of the stuff that you've done in the last year. It's quite a few things. Youth and adult workshops. Just in that, you've done 2, 4, 6, 7 workshops in the last. You're a go-getter, girl.
Yeah.
You are. I mean, that's people like you are the ones that succeed.
Oh, thanks, River. Yeah.
Totally. With the people that I expected to come, they're still waiting.
Right. That's true.
So yeah.